Hello, welcome to the Knife Yak channel. In this video, I'm going to do a close-up comparison of these two mini Wharncliffe knives, the Spyderco MicroJimbo and the Spyderco Little Native. With the Little Native, you'll notice that when I place it on a flat surface, just the very tipmost part of the point is touching the mat and just the buttest end of the handle. And even this part of the handle that forms the finger groove is elevated well above the level of the table. And most of the handle, if I slide this card under there, that's where it's touching, and there's a fair amount of gap in between, and it's not until you get to here that it's actually touching as well. So that gives you an idea about the relatively downward orientation of the point. Now, if we compare the MicroJimbo, you can see none of the edge is touching. The entire blade is elevated, and we get a lot more of the handle touching. The part of the handle under the pivot is touching the table, and this little curve at the end, pommel end is as well. So if you can kind of get down in there, we can kind of see you can get a pretty good idea here of the relatively upward pointing. It's the orientation of the blade is more elevated and more upward. And here are the two knives set next to each other. And I've reversed the position here so you don't get an inaccurate idea of which knife is larger than the other based on the proximity to the camera. The MicroJimbo is a tiny bit longer. Now, to really give you as accurate an idea as possible about how these knives are similar or different in terms of their shape and size, I've traced around the two knives in two different colors. So the black outline is the MicroJimbo, the red outline is the Little Native. And you can see I've tried to line up the holes and keep the handles as much contained one within the other as possible, so you can get an idea of how the blade orientation is quite different. And this tracing shows the two profiles of the closed knives. You can see that the width of the total package is about the same. The length is slightly different. So in terms of how you carry these in your pocket or how much space they'll take up, I don't think it matters very much in this case. One thing you'll notice is that the hole is very, very slightly eclipsed in the MicroJimbo. Not at all eclipsed by the handle in the case of the Little Native. And I don't think it matters very much in deployment, but you do get a little better access with the Little Native. Here are the two knives, so you can compare the closed shape, configuration, and size. And here they are in the open position, and I've tried to line up the pivots on the same inch line marker so you can get a pretty accurate idea of the size. Now, from this view, you can tell that the edge on the Little Native is shorter than the edge on the MicroJimbo. That is to say, the edge comes closer to the handle on the MicroJimbo. Gives you a more cutting edge, whereas some of that space is taken up here by the finger choil. Notice also that with the MicroJimbo, this finger depression here is a little bit wider. I think it's kind of hard to tell, but because of the contoured area here, it kind of gives you an optical illusion, I think. But in practice, I think let me see if I can show this a little bit. This general curve here, I think, is a little bit longer relative to this one. It's a little bit shorter. This one's a little more pronounced, but it's not quite as long. And so when I hold these things in my hand, the handles are short enough that I really almost think that this finger groove here is almost irrelevant, because when I hold a knife like that, I just feel like I don't have a whole lot to hold on to. And that's even more the case with the Little Native. I feel like I have almost nothing in my hand, because a significant part of the handle is forward of my index finger. So yeah, you've got this choil up here, this arched ricasso, and so you can hold it like that, and it works great. That's fine. But I don't find myself using that grip very much. If I were whittling a stick, I would hold the knife like this, in which case it's like two fingers have to go into this little groove right here. And I could hike it forward like that, but it doesn't feel as comfortable. I feel like it's forcing my hand into an awkward position. I don't like where the points are. I don't like where the curves are relative to my fingers. And I feel like I'm too close to the blade. With the MicroJimbo, this curve here being a little bit longer, I can almost get two fingers in there. And it feels like I don't really need that curvature there, but I have it. It gives me a little bit of security, I think, to help me hold on to that. But this is how I would be using the knife if I was actually using it hard, like whittling sticks, or if I were going to be, heaven forbid, if I had to fight with a knife like this, I'm not going to hold it like that. I'm going to hold it like that, or maybe like that, in which case this part of the handle right here, there's a little bit of a curve there. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little bit of curve right here along the spine, on the spine side of the handle up near the pivot, right? And so in a reverse grip, that fits really, this whole curve here fits very well in the palm of my hand against the fat part of my thumb. And it just feels very secure. If I were using this one in the same way, I can hold it like that, it's okay, but I'm feeling this point right here is right on my finger. And so that's kind of biting in a little bit, right? And it's like this curve here is almost irrelevant because it's not, my finger's not going into that, or at least my index finger's not. So I'm feeling pressure against if I squeeze this knife hard and then you look at the dent that it leaves in my finger, it's like right there, you know, and that's not too comfortable. Now in a reverse grip, I feel like I don't have a whole lot to hold on to because I can't really use the choil. If I did use the choil, it's all right, but it's not comfortable. It doesn't feel right. There's too many curves and grooves and points and peaks, and they're just never exactly in the right place for me. So yeah, I can squeeze this in a gorilla grip, but it just the points are in the wrong place. On the MicroJimbo, there really are no points. And so, yeah, it just works better for me. I get my whole hand on that knife like that. I don't need the choil. I don't want the choil. All I need is a good handle. And I think this knife gives me that. Now, I haven't really mentioned yet this point regarding the points, no pun intended. You'll notice the MicroJimbo is pointier than the Little Native. If you want your knife to do more poking and stabbing and piercing, I think the MicroJimbo point will give you a better effect with less resistance. Now, in this case, we have this blade that curves around like this, and the point is pointy, but there's some flat part of the blade here. It's thin, but it's still not as acute an angle as what you get on the MicroJimbo. And you can kind of see that here with I traced one blade inside the other, and you can see that the point of the MicroJimbo fits completely within that more curved point of the Little Native. And so, for my money, for very delicate scalpel-like usage, and I'm not talking about stabbing through sternums, I'm talking about extracting a sliver, or you know, just those little things where you gotta use the very outermost point of your knife to do this very precise extraction operation or whatever. I think I kind of like that that MicroJimbo point is going to be very effective. They're both effective. It's just a matter of, do you want to maximize that aspect of the knife's utility or not? So I guess I might as well address aesthetics as well. It kind of matters, I guess, what a knife looks like, especially if you're gonna pull it out and use it in public. If I had to, I don't know, if I had to pull one of these knives out to trim my fingernails during church, I think the Little Native is a little less threatening looking. It's more curvy. It looks a little more tame, a little more friendly. It's more of a happy kind of a shape. It's a more sexy shape. If you look at this handle, there's a very feminine sort of a shape here. Here's the shoulders and bust up here, and we get the waist and the hips. And this, I don't know, that would be the skirt, I guess, flowing in the breeze. It's a very shapely knife. It's very curvy. This one is more angular. It's more thrusting. It's more, I don't know, aggressive. I don't know. I think the Little Native is kind of evokes it sort of with the curves and the points and stuff. It feels to me kind of Baroque, and this one is more Art Deco, more angular, more 20th century, more modernistic, and I don't know. Eventually, you're just gonna buy the one you think looks the coolest. And they're both nice. They're both beautiful. I like them. I own them. I bought them. I haven't regretted buying them. But I'll have to say, when I lie awake at night, imagining what knife I'm going to buy an extra one of, I think I'd rather buy another MicroJimbo. So I guess that's the bottom line. It's what makes you happy. Thanks for listening.